Welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at Trinity of Reign. This is a 2 to 4 player area influence dice rolling territory building game, where you take the role of a clan trying to establish its empire on the map. You will be gathering resources, making potions, building units, buildings, and expansions to your capital, as well as fighting, trying to reign supreme on the map. There are 4 ways in which you can reign supreme and win the game: military, prosperity, religion, or in-game victory points. Now that we know what the winning conditions are, let's take a look at the components, setup, and how gameplay works in Trinity of Reign. Now let's take a look at the components. Keep in mind that this is a prototype, and the final components will be dependent upon the crowdfunding campaign. So the miniatures, dice, and the tiles may change between the final production. You have the main map board. On the map you have territories, which are divided by the solid lines, provinces, which are divided up by the dotted lines, gates, which connect provinces, resources depicted in provinces, which are stone, iron, and wood, holy places on the map. These are places for the druid to make potions. In the bottom right corner, you have the round track, and above the round track you have the territory bonus chart. This is when you own an entire territory and any number of provinces in different territories. Player boards. In the top right corner, you have the clan shield. Below the clan shield, you have the treasure chest for your money. On the left side of the player board, you have the purchase guide for buildings, units, and expansions to your capital. Below that, you have your income track. And then on the bottom left, you have the acquisitions and expenses. You'll use this behind your player screen during the buying phase. Player units in each of the 4 player colors. They consist of druids. They will cost 6 in money, make potions, and take druid actions, as well as be able to use the druid bonus in combat. Catapults. These cost 6, and you will ignore 1 fortification in combat. Soldiers and battalions. Battalions are 5 soldiers, and soldiers cost 2. Buildings. You have a town, which costs 2, and gives you 1 income. A wall, which costs 4, and gives you a fortification point. Metropolis, which costs 4 and gives you 3 income, and a castle, which costs 4 and gives you 1 income and 2 fortification points. For these buildings, you can place the metropolis inside of the town, and you can place the wall around the town. These are indicated with the arrows on the player board. Capitals. These cost 2, give you 3 income and 1 fortification point. These replace a metropolis that has a wall, and there is only 1 capital per player. Expansions to your capital. These will be placed inside of your capital. The capital can contain 1 large expansion, 2 square expansions, 1 circle expansion, and 3 towers. The large expansions are Palace. These cost 4 and 1 iron. They would give you an additional combat die for each druid in combat. Guild Hall. These cost 6 and 1 stone, and these will give you an additional fortification point for each of your walls and castles. Union Hall. These cost 4 coins, and once per round you can take 1 ingredient of your choice from the supply. Next we have your smaller square spaces. Your War Academy. This costs 8 coins and 1 iron, and for this your catapult's effects are doubled, and you get 1 coin for every enemy soldier you kill when you win a fight. School of Stone Masonry. This costs 6 and 1 stone, and with this you may buy walls for half their cost, as well as build castles in barren provinces. Order of the Gods. This costs 8 and 1 stone. With this you will immediately gain a free druid. Keep in mind that your maximum number of druids are 3. Market Hall. This costs 10 and 1 wood. This gives you an extra income for each castle and metropolis. Barrack. This cost 16, 1 wood, and 2 iron. And with this, soldiers cost half. Guild of Druids. This cost 4, and this will give you 2 additional actions for 1 of your druids per round. The Small Circle, which is your Ancestor Hall. The Ancestors Hall Foundation cost 10 and 4 stones. This allows you to sell resources back to the bank for 3 coins. Ancestors Hall Top. This cost 8 coins and 4 wood, and when you build this on top of your foundation, you would meet the Wealth Victory condition, which means that the game would end if you still have this at the end of the next round. The Defense Tower. This cost 6 and 1 stone, and gives you 1 additional fortification point. Province Tiles. On the back of the tile, you have a question mark. If the tile has a star, it is going to be the only place that you can place a metropolis. On the front of the tile is depicted ingredients, and a dead tree represents a barren province, and no buildings can go there unless you have the School of Stone Masonry. Ingredient tiles, potion tiles, fight dice. Red is for attack, and green is for defense. And white is for fortification. The big red dice represents your battalions, or 5 soldiers. The small red dice represents your 1 soldier. And the red dice with the white number represents your druid. Cubes. The white cubes are your round marker and income markers. Gray is stone, brown is wood, and black is iron. Coins, which come in 1, 4, and 10. Player screens. On the left, right, and top of the player screen, you will have your potions. They show the depicted ingredients needed and the effect each potion has. In the middle of your player screen, on the left side, you have a round aid, and on the right side, you have victory conditions and how to trade with the bank. And then finally, your rule book. Now let's take a look at the setup. We're going to be setting this up for a 3-player game, which takes 5 steps. Step 1, place the map. Place the map in the middle of your play area. Step 2, place province tiles. You will flip the province tiles face down, shuffle them, and place 1 face down in each province on the map. If you're playing a 2-player game, you will discard the 3+ province tiles and leave an entire territory without tiles. Step 3, place supply pools. Place the ingredients, potions, coins, buildings, and capital expansions within reach of all the players. When placing the capital expansions, if it's a 3-player game, you will remove 1 of each of the expansions and 3 of the towers. Step 4, get player components. Choose a color and get a player board, screen, 4 in coins, 2 income markers, and units in the corresponding color. Step 5, get the first player and starting positions. The hairiest player is the first player, and give them a first player marker. Then going clockwise in turn order, players will choose a province to place a town and 2 soldiers. When doing this, they will reveal the province tile that they chose. If a barren province tile is revealed, the soldiers will be placed, but the town cannot, and instead you will get the money mentioned on the tile. Once all the players have chosen 1 province, we will repeat this process in reverse turn order. Once all the players have chosen a 2nd province, we will do 1 final round going in turn order. And after you've chosen your 3rd province, you will add a wall to one of your towns and place a druid in one of your provinces. Now let's take a look at the gameplay. A game consists of a number of rounds until one of the 3 winning conditions are met, or the end of the 9th round. The 3 winning conditions are military, when a player controls an entire territory and a number of additional provinces with a town or castle based on the number of players. This is referenced on your player screen. Prosperity or wealth victory. This is when you build the entire halls of ancestors. Religion victory. This is when you make and use the potion of Tarnus, and if none of these 3 are met before the end of the 9th round, we would go to final scoring. A round. A round consists of 4 phases: income, druid actions, buying, and place, move, fight. Now let's look at each phase in detail. Phase 1, income. This is carried out in 4 steps. Step 1, move the first player token to the next player going clockwise. Step 2, move the round marker to the next round. Step 3, collect taxes. You would gain coins based on towns, metropolis, and capital in the same province as soldiers. A town or castle would give 1, metropolis 3, and a capital 3. Also this time you'll check your expansions and territory bonuses. Step 4, collect resources. You would be able to gain the resources depicted in your province as long as you have 2 soldiers. You would lay one of the soldiers down, making them incapacitated for the rest of the round, so they cannot move or fight, and don't count as active soldier for keeping the province in your possession. And then get the corresponding cube. Then we move to phase 2, druid actions. In turn order, players would take an action with each druid that they control. There are 4 possible actions, and they're referenced on your player screen. Move and collect ingredients. You would move the druid to another province that you control and gain the ingredients depicted. Move and prepare potions. You would move the druid to another province that you control, and if that province has a holy site, the druid can prepare a potion. You would discard the ingredients and gain the potion tile below your player board. You can start using it in the next round. Keep in mind that to prepare a 2nd tier potion, you must have made both level 1s, and to prepare a level 3, you must have prepared both the level 2s. Move and double the profit of a province. You would move your druid to another province you control and gain coins equal to that province's income. And then finally, activate a potion. You would use a potion, and potions can only be used once per round. Then we move to phase 3, buying. Players simultaneously buy troops, buildings, and capital expansions, placing them behind their player screen. You would place them in the acquisitions spot on your player board. You can place buildings in provinces with your soldiers, except barren provinces, unless you have the School of Stone Masonry, in which case you could build a castle in a barren province. You cannot build a castle in a province where there is already another building, or build in a province where there is already a castle. You can also demolish buildings during this phase, but not capital expansions. To build a capital in a region, it must already have a metropolis with a wall. And keep in mind that you can only build one capital. If that capital is captured any point in the game, it goes back to your supply and a metropolis will replace it. You cannot build a capital expansion the same round you build the capital. And you also cannot build two of the same capital expansion. You cannot build both Ancestors' Hall in the same turn. And druids are limited to 2 unless you have the Order of the Gods built. Then all the players would raise their screens and show all the other players what they acquired during this phase. Then we move to phase 4, place, move, and fight. This takes 4 steps. Step 1, place buildings. Place buildings in your provinces. Towns and castles require no buildings. Metropolis requires a town. And a metropolis, town, and wall are the setup to place a capital. Step 2, place soldiers. Place soldiers in any of your provinces with a building. This is done in turn order. When placing, you only have to place half of your troops out in the first round of placement, and then the other half the second round. Step 3, place druids and catapults. In player order, place your druids and catapults in the provinces you control with buildings. And then step 4, movement. In player order, players will move any number of units to connected provinces. This is carried out in 2 rounds of movement, and you can skip or pass. Keep in mind that provinces are connected by gates or entrances. If there's an unrevealed province tile, you would flip it over. Druids and catapults must always have 1 soldier with them. Soldiers are used to indicate ownership of buildings, and if you have none and another player comes in, they immediately take control of your buildings. If you move into a province of another player, combat would happen. When carrying out combat, the defender has a chance to retreat to an adjacent province or move reinforcements of soldiers and battalions in from a connected province. This is a free movement. Then we would fight. The battle would be immediately resolved. The attacker is red and the defender is green. You would gain a number of dice based on your soldiers, battalions, druids, and fortification. The small dice is 1 soldier, the big dice is 5 soldiers or a battalion, and you can have a max of 24 soldiers. Then you would add a druid dice, if a druid is involved, up to a max of 2. And finally, add any fortification dice up to a max of 4. When calculating fortification, buildings would add fortification along with walls, but catapults will minus fortification. Then the players would roll a dice, and each side would add their number together and remove that many of the opposing soldiers, minus any of the fortification die number from the other player. After removing, if there are units left on both sides, the attacker can choose to continue the fight or retreat. Keeping in mind that if all soldiers are lost, druids and catapults are also lost. At the end of the battle, if both sides lose all of their soldiers, then the player with the least amount of soldiers lost would be victorious and keep 1 soldier in that province. If players tied in the number of soldiers lost, then both would keep 1 and the attacker would retreat. If the attacker wins, they can demolish any buildings. Walls and castles must be removed. Capitals are removed and replaced with a metropolis. After all the players have moved and carried out any combat, we would move to the next round. And rounds would continue until one of the in-game conditions are met or the end of the 9th round. There are 3 in-game conditions. Military, this is where you control 1 territory and a number of provinces with a town or castle based on the number of players. Prosperity or wealth, where you build the complete Ancestors' Hall and have it for the full next round. Religion, this is where you make and use the invocation of Tyrannus Potion. And if none of these are met, at the end of the 9th round, we go to the final scoring. Final scoring takes 2 steps. Step 1, get 1 point for each town, druid, battalion, or 5 soldiers, and first tier potions that you have. Step 2, get 2 points for each metropolis, province, capital expansion, territory bonus, and tier 2 or 3 potion that you have. Then the player with the most points, or the player to reach a victory condition, is the best clan and wins Trinity of Reign.